Lexan Media. We'll be speaking with the fabulous Miss Monique Blake. She is the General Manager of Swizz Beatz Productions, the President of Music and Special Projects for Clockmaker Agency, and Vice President of Marketing and Music for Versus, the webcast series. So we hope you'll be joining us. Thank you. Among the many hats she wears in the music industry, she is the General Manager of Swizz Beatz Productions, the President of Music and Special Projects for Clockmaker Agency, which is a creative agency and venture platform, and Vice President of Marketing and Music for Versus, which everyone knows, the webcast series that invites two artists, predominantly R&B and hip-hop artists, to highlight their music in 2 10-song round battles. At the height of the pandemic in 2020, Versus took the music industry by storm, and I'm sure it changed the trajectory of Monique's career in terms of probably you were thinking 2020, this might be some downtime for me.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, you were busier than ever. So, Ms. Blake, it is an honor to meet you.
Same.
And we just would like to say first that we hope everything has been good with you and your family throughout these couple of years, because we know it's been a very challenging time.
Yes, thankfully, we have seen COVID, but it has come and gone, and everyone as well. So thank you.
Great. Sure. Well, let me begin by asking you, now you were born, according to your bio, you were born in Canada.
Yes.
And you are the child of Guyanese and Jamaican parents.
Yes.
But you were raised here in New York City.
In New York City, Brooklyn.
Okay. And do you live in Brooklyn now?
I do. So I'm between, it's funny, I make the joke and say I live on a plane, but I'm between Brooklyn, Los Angeles, and then I have a small sweet spot in London.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, because Clockmaker Agency, that's
Correct. Based in the UK.
Okay, great. So, and you also are the mother of a young daughter.
Yes, a 12-year-old. Her name is Megan.
Wonderful. Hello, Megan, if you're watching. And how do you juggle, having to be so many places and the demands of your job with raising a young daughter?
Prayer, patience. Sometimes I just have to be patient with myself and give myself grace. I'm not going to be able to do everything as much as I'd like to. And just not beat myself up. I do travel a lot, so one of the hardest things for me is mom guilt, as they call it.
Sure.
Just not being able to be there with her 24/7 or on a daily basis does get to me at times. But as I'm watching her grow and I'm watching who she's growing into and how independent she is, and she has her boss traits starting to develop, I just see that she's watching me and she understands, mommy works hard, so I have to work hard too. So I'm thankful for that.
You're setting a wonderful example in showing her that women can really achieve anything they want to.
Anything they put their minds to.
So that's a really positive thing to hear and see. Well, I wanted to ask you now a bit about how you got your start in the music industry to rise to these, positions of power that you now hold several titles. I know you're a veteran in the industry now for about 20 years. So yeah, tell us a little bit about how you worked your way up to the positions you now hold.
Sure. So it wasn't the traditional journey. I didn't have family or friends in the business. My mom, she worked in legal, and my dad, he worked in banking and finance. So music was not an option. As many Caribbean children will tell you, arts and entertainment isn't something your parents push you to. I was either supposed to be a doctor or work in finance of some sort. But I fell in love with music through my parents. My dad was he was the one that introduced me to reggae and Caribbean music, So he'd have his cassette tapes, and he was in the lodge, so his lodge brothers would make him music on a regular basis. So whenever we would be, driving around with him, he'd always play music for us. And then my mom, she too was really into music. She's the first person I ever saw play a record. To this day, she still has her record collection. She's the one that actually got me into record collecting. I have record players in all my homes. I encourage my daughter and even my nieces and nephews just to understand just the process of vinyl and why, you know, it was so important at one time, and still to this day, you know, there's still vinyl in production. But in terms of the music business itself, I actually knew I wanted to work in music. I just didn't know how. So the only place I knew in terms of resources and information was CD jackets. So I would actually take the jackets out of the CDs and see where people recorded. And I just decided, you know, I'm gonna call all these studios and see if there's an opportunity just to work there. Because in my mind, I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to make music. So, but I couldn't afford to go to engineering school. So I said, okay, if I can get a job at a studio, I know how I work. I'll make friends with whoever I need to make friends with, and then when I'm not working, I can ask them to teach me how to make music. Fast forward, God had other plans, and he said, you know, I'm going to put you alongside people who make music to help them fulfill their dreams. But that's how my music career started.
And one day to maybe get
You
through
know,
engineering?
now that I know a lot more about the process, I tip my hat to creatives because I think people take for granted the process of making music. Obviously, we get the output, which is a song. We love it. We just play it over and over again. But having spent time watching creatives actually create the music that we fall in love with, I leave that to them. But I do enjoy being in the room for the process and where I can add input. I always love to.
So how did you meet Swizz Beatz and come to work with him?
So I met Swizz during an internship. I was interning at J Records in their radio and promotions department, and at the time he had a record label there. So I was actually working his records that he was creating for his artists. And prior to me going to J Records, I, you know, was helping like throw parties, and so I had really good relationships with like the DJs and the promoters. So when I started at J Records, outside of what I was doing in the office, I said to myself, how can I take the relationships that I have, which is with the promoters and the DJs, and help us break our records. So after work, I would take our records to the nightclubs and get the DJs to play them. It's not the most female-friendly space, so I usually would have to wait to the end of the night to get my records played, or, you know, it was when they got to me type of thing, which I was okay with because I stood there until the end of the night and I got my records played. And then there was a night where Swizz came into the club, and I said, I had, at the time, we were working Mashonda and Cassidy's projects, and I said, hey, listen, they're giving me a hard time playing these records, do you mind coming to the DJ booth? Just to, you know, add some, I guess, just talk to them so that they play the music. So he came, and it worked. Obviously, when the artist walks in, everybody is your best friend. So he came to DJ booth, and they just played the records like, instantly. So I said, okay. I said, listen, this is my schedule for the rest of the week. These are the clubs that I'm going to go to. If you're free, you know, meet me there, and we'll tag team. I'll bring the records, you show up, we'll get them played, and then we'll build a rhythm. He was like, sure. And he did. He showed up. Sometimes when, you know, you don't have anything to offer, they treat you away. And he's never done it. He's never done that. He's never made me feel as though, oh, thank you, Lord. He's gonna hate you when he sees this. But no,
you're a woman of power.
He's never made me feel like, because I didn't know something, I was any less important. Ooh, excuse me, I'm falling apart. But yeah, he's never made me feel like I was any less important or any less valuable to our organization at any point, because I didn't know anything, you know? And I'm forever thankful for him for that. Hi, I'm Monique Blake. Thank you, Lexington Media, for having me. If you want to find out more about the projects I'm working on, be sure to go visit versustv.com or clockmaker.com, CLOKKEMAKER.com. And you should be following Swizz, but if you're not, at The Real Swizz with 3 Z's.